just testing this camera. I'm going to read from Beautiful Lives by Stephen Unwin. I'm going to just try and read through every day, but I'm not going to make promises because I don't trust myself. So the first bit is Introduction from Metaphor to Reality. Writing this book was hard. For much of history, people with learning disabilities have been seen as unworthy of interest, valuable only to their families, and sometimes even dismissed as barely human. Only 100 years ago, they were demonized as a threat to the social order, to be settled as far away as possible, prevented from reproducing, and in some places done away with altogether. And if recent years have seen improvements, they're still treated as outsiders, fundamentally different from the rest of us. This brief account tries to do two things at once. A brief account, meaning I think the book. Make the case for why these people matter. Wow. That's quite something, as if they don't matter, which is with the current state of affairs. So, just to continue on, this brief account tries to do two things at once. Make the case for why these people matter, even as it tells their complicated, contradictory and often disturbing history. Wait a minute, what? This brief account tries to do two things at once. Make the case for why these people matter, even as it tells their complicated, contradictory, and often disturbing history. Isn't that one? The task is made harder by the fact that learning disabled people have, for the most part, left so little trace behind. This is partly a consequence of their condition, but it also reflects a wider lack of interest. Scholars have worked hard to recover individual stories, but what exists is vanishingly small, and most of the evidence is in institutional form. Such an absence of text, however, shouldn't imply an absence of existence, and the overarching purpose of this book is to remind the reader there have always been people with cognitive impairments of one kind or another, and that they deserve more than the scraps of recognition the world has granted them. It is perhaps symptomatic of this imbalance that in assembling this account, we will have to listen to many people who don't have learning disabilities, but who have shaped the lives of those who do, for good and for ill. The result will be a collage of facts, impressions and voices drawn from many different sources, none of which are definitive, but all of which play a part in this story. For it is only through such an assembly, I believe, that we can attempt to honour a group of human beings from whom history has too often forgotten and culture ignored. In doing so, I'm acutely aware that here I am, a person without learning disabilities, attempting to write the history of a group to which, however loosely defined, I do not belong. Some will insist that my intellectual abilities, such as they are, disqualify me, even that I am part of a system exploiting vulnerable people for my own advancement. And there's a note with number 1, superscript, which I will have a look at. Usually they're at the end. Number 1, let's have a look. Chapter 1, references. So that number 1 is a reference, says see Simone Aspis, and the title is Researching Our History, Who is in Charge? In L. Brigham, D. Atkinson, M. Jackson, S. Rolfe and J. Walmsley, Cross Boundaries, Change and Continuity in the History of Learning Disabilities. Okay, thank you. Continuing on. I defend myself against the charge of cultural appropriation by saying that... Oh, excuse me. Yeah! Bless me. Oh, God. I've got a fan in front of me. Anyway. Carry on. Okay. I defend myself against the charge of cultural appropriation by saying that not only am I the father of a young man with severe learning disabilities, but that much of what follows recounts the changing attitudes and practices of people without such impairments. I'd also argue that if we're to break down the binary divisions that continue to mar so much of the debate, we should recognise that cognitive disabilities can affect us all and are fundamental to our shared humanity. No one has a monopoly on wisdom, especially in an area as overlooked as this. There are certainly no easy answers. Okay, so that's like a few paragraphs from tiny bit of from the introduction. Okay, leave that there.